Hi, everybody. Thank you for joining me on another chat with Kat. Today, I have Sandi Shortt here with me, who is the owner of Sandi Shortt Consulting. Sandi does Oliveda, Gene Keys, and human design. And I'm so excited to have an opportunity to talk to her. I got to meet Sandi at a women's business networking meeting when she was showing me this new waterless skincare. And I was like, I have to get her on. I have to get to know Sandi a little bit more. So I'm happy that she's able to join me today.
Oh,
Hi, Sandi. How are you?
I'm great. Thanks so much for having me.
So you've got a lot on your site. You do a lot of incredible, interesting things. I know you and I talked a little bit. I was looking for a little bit of skincare. I was looking for something a little bit natural. You showed me some incredible results, specifically some really interesting eye cream, but you mentioned that the skin line is waterless. Could you tell me a little bit more about that and how you got into all of these incredible things?
I sure can. We'll start with Oliveda waterless. I actually had a friend who suggested it. Now, she has suggested other skincare lines, and she's a friend. She's my upline. And when she suggested this, I thought, okay, I'll give it a try. But I'm not one to promote anything unless I know that it works. So I've actually been using it for a year. And after a year, I thought, yes, it really does work. And if you go to my Instagram, you'll see my picture before and after in a year. And my Instagram is Sandi Shortt Consulting.
And we'll include that in the section too. I'll make sure I add that on there so people can join in and follow you and follow
Okay,
your journey.
that's great. So, waterless is just new in the skincare line. What happens, most skincare lines have water as your first ingredient. And
Okay.
you can be paying for up to 70% water.
Really?
Yeah. And the other problem with water, not that it's good for us to drink, it's not good for us to put on our skin because it doesn't absorb as well, number one. But the other thing is, water becomes very unstable in a product. And so you need fillers, you need refined oil, and you need preservatives to keep it stable, which I would never have thought. I thought water was water, and it isn't.
Yeah. I was actually having another conversation about water and even just importance of it when you're drinking it. So I love that there's this kind of new technology, this new science around. Don't just use, I'm not gonna lie, I used just regular soap for a long time, just whatever is washing on my hands, I used to put on my face. And I love that there's this new information that's out there. So
Mhm.
you fell in love with it?
I did. And so what they have done, Thomas Lamel is the owner, and he was very sick, and none of the traditional medicines were helping. And so he got this idea in his mind of olive trees. And it just kept coming back. And you can you can think of it as whatever way you want, but he totally kept coming back to get to the olive tree, get to the olive tree. And so he felt that he had to go to Italy. And when he went to Italy, he's from Germany. And so when he went to Italy, he actually met a woman who was like a medicine woman. She was very, excuse me, she was doing all the ancient medicinal things from this olive tree.
Okay.
And one of the things she was doing was using the olive leaf and taking the elixir from the olive leaf by crushing it. And that gives you hydroxytyrosol. And hydroxytyrosol is what made him better what makes us better and what keeps the tree living for up to 4,000 years.
Wow.
So he was cleansed and healed, and he looked different on the outside as well. And so he thought, if it does this much for the organs inside, our biggest organ is our skin. Maybe I can do something for our skin.
Okay.
And so that's how it started. And so he has replaced all the water that we get in regular skincare with hydroxytyrosol and arbutina oil. And arbutina oil is it's unrefined olive oil from the tree.
Okay.
And so that's what he uses instead of water.
Okay. So that's what kind of makes this product stand out a little bit more and got you interested in this.
That's right.
Okay.
And so you've got your 70%. I actually have a picture somewhere. You might have seen it at WBN. There is a picture of regular skincare with 70% water and refined oils and preservatives. And the other one, and actually the water and the preservatives took it up to about 95%. So in in Oliveda, the 95% is made up of hydroxytyrosol and arbutina oil. And then the other 5% on both of them is what the good stuff is. So you've got all kinds of good stuff in there. What the hydroxytyrosol helps with is the absorption. And
so it doesn't stay on your skin for a long time and kind of feel that I goes because that I will admit for me sometimes I'm like, oh, with sensitive skin, or I have my husband has the opposite. He has super dry skin. So sometimes it just hangs out, right?
yeah,
And so this doesn't. It's quick and fast.
it does. It is, and it's very nourishing as well. And so what Oliveda says is the water that we don't use in our products, we give to Africa. And so for every product that's sold, they take a certain amount off and they're building water, or they're digging water wells in Africa.
Wow, what a great cause.
Yeah.
Is
Yeah.
that was that one of the things that kind of
Oh, yes. Yeah.
yeah?
Because
Okay.
not only was I getting a good skincare, but they had a really wonderful idea for helping. And particularly, I can't imagine not having water to drink.
No, and especially living in the Kawarthas, right? Like we
That's
see
right.
it in Canada alone. Most of us wouldn't even contemplate. I know we do have some locations in Canada that don't have clean drinking water regularly, but I know for me, it's definitely a right. And so I love this idea that there's these companies out here that are not only doing things to better ourselves, right? Like better health, better skin, that are doing those research moving forward in that way, but they're also then giving back to the community
Yes.
and not on our own, but in other spaces and continuing to help that continual growth and healing in the world. That is, it sounds beautiful.
Oh, it's wonderful. And you can actually go and visit the water wells that they have dug.
Okay, so is that on your bucket list? Are you
Oh, yes,
planning to
for sure.
go?
Oh, I'd love to.
Yeah.
It's, yeah. I'm, I'm so proud of this company. And I've only been with it for, it's only been in Canada. So I'll back up a little bit. I've been using it for a year, but they opened it up in the States first. And then when they realized they were successful in the States, they brought it up to Canada. And so I wanted, number one, to make sure that it worked for me, and also that it was from Germany to Canada, not through the States.
That it had a pipeline directly in versus, okay.
So they actually have a distribution center in Ontario now.
Oh, that's especially with tariffs. That's a whole other ball game. That change. That's a bit of a game changer.
I wasn't going anywhere near it if it was coming from the States. No. And so that's the story with that one.
That's the story in that one. I'd like to know a little bit more about Sandi, and because this sounds like there's this big piece of healing and giving back and all of those wonderful things. And then you have a whole other consulting space, correct? So I'd love to hear how these two kind of married, and I say that how they integrate with all of who Sandi is.
And I guess that's the right expression, married, because that is part of me. I am definitely into holistic healing, and I appreciate it. But I also really appreciate looking the best that I can look and doing the best I can for my skin.
Well, you look fabulous. I gotta tell you, you look absolutely glowing and amazing.
Well,
It's
that's one of the comments I have gotten since I've used our Oliveda.
yeah.
Yeah, it's incredible. Even my 21-year-old grandson said, Gran, your face glows. And I'm going, wow, woo, this is wonderful.
That's so wonderful. I have a child with some special needs, and he's, Mom, you look old and wrinkly and pruny, and I'm like,
We're gonna have to fix you up.
I can't wait, because then I could be like, see, you can't say that anymore.
Yes, yeah, sure.
I'm not gonna lie. I think he will still just poke at Mom a little bit, but for your 21-year-old grandson to be able to say that, how'd that make you feel?
Oh, I felt wonderful. I felt really seen. And of course, it made me feel that this was really working. And to have him actually look at me in that way, because he's 21 years old and he's a guy. So,
And your grandma. I don't know. Maybe there's lots of them out there that are like, yeah, my grandchildren say things like that all to me all of the time. I I hope my grandchildren, when I have them, say those things.
it just came right out. We had been talking about skincare and we had been talking about Oliveda. The conversation went on further. And then all of a sudden he said that. So it was wonderful.
That sounds amazing.
Yeah.
And then I'm thinking, okay, especially with teens and 20, maybe not at 21, but acne and challenges that kids can get into
Yeah.
during like
Mhm.
hormonal stuff. And then I'm thinking, okay, yeah, there's puberty, but I know I'm in my menopause days and my skin starts to shift and change. And yeah, so how did that conversation, and again, are there things that it's the same line, it covers everything? I'd love to hear a little bit more about that.
It does. And they do have different creams for different types of skin. They have different serums and elixirs for different types of skin. And they actually have something for acne.
Okay.
They,
And
they
so they'd be able to, that is that on your website too, or someone could reach out and do a little consult to find out what might work best for them.
they certainly can. We also have a quiz.
Okay.
And the quiz, it only takes a minute or so, but it helps. It's AI generated. So I always say, don't order the products until you talk to me, because I might ship them a little bit. But pretty much, if you put down what type of skin you have, and they'll ask you the different questions, whether it's dry, oily, whether you have acne or whatever. And then they'll come up with a list of products that they think is best for you. And then I like to talk to everybody before they order to say, all right, let's just check this out and make sure. And
Make sure that you're getting what you need, which
that's
is,
right.
you know what, that level of caring, right? Some people could just be like, yeah, go on, click the button, order what it says. And then there's something that says, you know what? I don't want you to get something that you're not going to, or something that's not going to meet your needs, because
They are so sure that you're going to like it and love it that they have a 365-day money back guarantee.
365 days, like you have an entire year to try it out. And then
Mhm.
if you're like, yeah, it didn't do it for me, then
You get your money back.
wow.
The other thing that taking the water out of it does is it makes it more concentrated. So you use just a little bit. So we don't need nearly what you might need with the water-based skincare.
And you were saying there's not as many preservatives and things like that. So its
Oh,
shelf
yeah.
life would probably be a
When I,
little bit different or
yeah,
a
it'll
little
be
bit
long.
longer, right?
Yeah. When I first got it, one of the elixirs came in just a little bottle, which I don't have right here, but and I thought, this is ridiculous. This is a lot of money for a little wee bit. But that little bottle lasted me over 2 months.
Really?
Yeah. And I kept a really close chart on how long everything lasted because not only did I want it to look good, but I didn't want it to be outrageously expensive. So it costs about the same as good skincare does cost, but it lasts longer.
Okay,
Because,
that's good to know.
yeah, so that you don't, I would say almost every product actually that I have used, except for the eyes, last me 2.5 months.
Okay.
Now, my eye elixir, though, I only use one drop on each eye every morning, and it lasts 6 months.
Hey,
So it is, it's an investment.
it's
It's
an
an
investment in
investment
yourself,
in your
right?
biggest organ.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And so you mentioned it is about your entire organ. So do they do mostly face or full body?
They do full body and they have internals.
Okay.
So they have an internal, which is the one that Thomas used to get well. So it's immune support.
Okay.
They have an and there's three of them. They're all hydroxytyrosol based. There's
Okay.
one that specifically has collagen in it, and it's porcine or pig collagen. And these pigs are raised right on in the olive orchards.
Okay.
And then they have one with hyaluronic acid. And
Okay.
so I take all three of them. I have a little shot in the morning, and that's what I do.
That's what you do. Okay. And so my question is, why this? How did you get into? So I know your friend referred you, you mentioned you always want to look your best, but a little bit, tell me. And I mean, there's this great charity and all of these other fabulous things, but Sandy, what kind of got you on this journey? Tell me a little bit more about why this product, why holistic healing. If you don't mind sharing a little bit about that, I'd love to hear it.
Okay. We'll start back when I was a teenager. My mom, thank you very much, Mom, got me onto good skincare. Okay. So that's where skincare started. I have been using good skincare since I was a teenager. So that's just part of my life. It's part of what I do automatically. So I used to teach school. I got married and I taught school, elementary school for a little while. And then I quit and had my three sons. And my husband was a banker. And so we moved from one place to another. And the last move that we went on was to New York. And we lived 45 minutes north of New York City. and it was absolutely wonderful. It was so much fun. I'm not sure I want to be there now, but back then it was great. And he died from a heart attack. And so I was 41. The kids were 9, 10, and 11. And I guess you just go day by day and do what you have to do. I did have to move back to Canada. And so Citibank was wonderful with me. They let me stay until school was out and they rented the house for me. And I can't say enough about them. We came back to Canada and we started getting to know people. I heard about a group that was called Capsule, Child and Parents Suffering a Loss. And that was a group in Toronto. And so I joined that. And that led to going to a lecture from a woman who specifically worked in grief. And after that, I said, are you open to individual appointments? And she said, yes. So that's where, actually, that's right where my holistic health started. My spirituality started. I knew nothing about spirituality, self-help, self-love. And I would get books and I was just like a sponge putting them in. And then another friend said to me, if you're that interested in it, why don't you go back to school? So I did. So I went to Transformational Arts College in Toronto and I became a psychospiritual psychotherapist and absolutely loved it. I had a one-on-one practice. I helped them with their teaching. And so then they started to expand. So I taught the up and coming psychotherapists. And they also needed so many hours of psychotherapy. I was right there. And it was good. I decided to go out on my own at one point. And so just had my own one-on-one psychotherapy clients. And then I tore down the cottage near in the Kawarthas and built a house and decided I was going to retire. I don't think retirement is in my books at all. I have decided that retirement just is for some people, but it's not for me. And at that point, I thought I would join an MLM company, multi-level marketing.
Yeah.
And I did with good skincare, good health, good home products, everything. And I was with them and I wanted something more. There was something missing. And I was looking for somebody who could help me and understand what I'd already been through. Because I had a lot of experience, but I wanted some help. And I really was looking for somebody that I thought would appreciate my experience and help me go from there. And so I saw Bob Proctor, and then I saw Julie Ciardi, and I thought, she's the one. So I joined up with her group, and she's in New York, and we did it on Zoom, but it was very personal as well. And then, about 3 months after I joined her, she said, I'm opening a coaching school. And I'm going, oh, this is perfect.
Divine timing.
Yeah, it was.
You're like, yeah, all the synchronicities and everything just lines up together.
Thing just went together. Oh, and she was also the one that introduced me to my upline for Oliveda. So that, in a nutshell, is how I got where I am. And so skincare has been there all along. Holistic health and self-help and self-love and all that wonderful stuff.
Healing and all of that kind of great stuff. And here's now you've got where the two of them have,
Yeah,
well, we said it, they're fully integrated into our authentic Sandi that you're sharing with us today.
that's right. Now, the other thing that is interesting about Oliveda is Thomas has had these products in Germany in stores and spas for 20 years. And he pulled them out because he didn't think that people in the store were taking the time to explain them well enough. And so he actually pulled them out and went the consultant route. And so that's one of the things he did in the States was start with the consultant route and realized it was successful.
It's the personal touch. It's that getting to know. It's the people. It's having people that really connect with the story
That's
and
right.
put people first. I That's what I'm hearing from you. It's about all of those pieces. It's about
Yeah.
putting people, their wellness, not just from a skincare, but it's an overall and really investing in you. And that I could be wrong. That's what I'm hearing when I'm hearing you talk about all of these great, incredible products and all of those pieces that they do.
Well, with the coaching, I like to think of igniting the flame within. And so we all have possibilities and we're so much more than what we actually think we are. And so to light the flame within. But then I've also changed it to look like you feel inside because I'm 81. And yeah, and so I know that people look at me and say, you don't look 81. And that also helps me to go on. And so I think for me, it's important to look on the outside the way you feel on the inside. Now, I don't know what an 81-year-old is supposed to feel like, but I don't feel like I think an 81 is supposed to feel like.
What's an age, right,
That's
Sandi? As a
true.
coach to coach, what's an age?
That's it.
So tell me, so seeing that outside and the inside and how you're feeling, let's throw the age piece out to the side. Let's toss that one out. Tell me, how do you feel? And then how did those two for you, how do they marry each other? Like how does your outside reflect your inside when you're doing that? Because I can see it to me when you're like, your grandson's like, you're glowing. And I was like, yes, Sandi has this incredible personality and your skin is doing the same thing. Tell me a little bit about that.
Well, I like to look the way I feel inside. And that is how I feel. I do feel like I'm full of life and glowing. And I really appreciate the fact that I look that way on the outside. And so with coaching, I mean, with human design, particularly, they talk about 50 as when we grow up. So our actual maturity starts at 50 and goes until we leave.
That's a good thing. It means I got a few more years to mature. mature.
That's right. And it also means that it's totally the opposite than what we think. Like we have been fed this line to work really hard until you are 50 or 60 and then retire. But then what do you do? And according to human design, 50 is when you actually begin to mature. And what you do after that is what you really have to do.
What you really have to do.
What you're called to do. Yeah.
I hope, and what I love too about it is that for me, it's about when you're sharing that and you're sharing as a coach, it's can we move people into following their life's purpose and things like that earlier in life, right?
Well,
And gaining those tools and changing that systemic programming that, that keeps us trapped in that whole pattern that you have to do this and you have to do that and the checklists and things like that. I'm sure you see it with your clients too, that it's, yeah, here,
Yeah.
those that are coming to you earlier, you're like,
Yes.
let's change this. Let's get you started on your way early on. And here are the tools that you've learned, because guess what? At 20, you still have all the time, like from 20 to 80, right? You still
Yeah.
have, there's no age that says, even though society may tell you that there's no age. You can do it at any point in time, right?
That's right. And society will say you go along and you go up, but then you hit this retirement age and then it's downhill after that. And yet human design says, okay, we go along and we go up a little bit, but then you hit 50, and then you hit your purpose and what you really want to do.
Yeah.
Yeah. I guess I changed. I did have my little blurb at the top of my Instagram saying women over 50 and light the flame within. But now I think it says light the flame within and look as good as you feel.
Right?
Yeah. So
That's beautiful. And I love that it's all of those pieces together and that you can, it's easy. Some days I don't feel as great, and sometimes it's, yeah, but I also have that opportunity. I find sometimes I'm not a big makeup, I'm not a big, and I also am like, oh, sometimes I just want to feel better.
yeah,
Sometimes I'm like, oh yeah, I'm in my joggers. I'll run out all the time without me. But then I'm like, oh no, I'm gonna throw a little bit on, and I want to. I'm not doing it for anybody else. I'm doing it for me. And so when you're talking about your skincare, and you're like, yes, I feel amazing.
I feel amazing. I know my skin is good. But
You look
then
amazing.
added benefit is when I look in the mirror, when somebody else looks at me and says, wow, you glow, I think, all right, it's mirroring what's inside of me.
It's mirroring. And the one thing that I have found with people that I've been working with lately is a lot of women have this unwritten safety thing that it's almost unsafe to be seen. So I think systemically, sometimes there's these parts of it where we are masking or not using our voice or not putting it on. We're not actually putting ourselves just as our authentic self to be seen out there when we're talking about that flame. Is that I think society, correct me if I'm wrong, but I know I've run that into that with clients myself, that they struggle in various areas of their life because when you get to that unconscious and you start digging at those deeper layers, it's around components around safety, and it's trying to keep them safe and love themselves. But this is really a way for you to love yourself and start teaching and rewiring those patterns that says, yes, I'm safe and I'm lovable and I'm allowed to let my light shine and to be seen as glowing out there. It's such an empowering message. I absolutely love it.
It certainly is. And that's how they work together. You were asking me, how do they marry? And yet they're just part of me. This is me.
It's totally you, and I love it. But for me, for those of my clients who are watching, some of those that are out there, I can admit, I personally, before I worked through a lot of these tools and got to some of that unconscious patterns that were there, is I wouldn't record, or I would find ways to not put myself out there or not put makeup on or gaining weight. Like there was all of these other things that were showing up in all of these spaces until I started working with some of the tools that got down to, wow, how is being seen a problem for you? How is having great skin? How is that a problem for you? And it really got into programming that I had or experiences. And I'm not saying
Oh, yeah.
those things existed, those Me Too moments. There were reasons that got there. And I finally decided, no, I'm going to reclaim my own power. I I blew out that old belief that it was unsafe. And now I'm like, yes, that's why in the conversation, yes, I want to see, I want my skin. I'm going to finish up what I got. And I want my skin to glow. I want people to feel confident that they can ask the questions. Or like, you'll see sometimes I have weird ones that I'm like, yes, I peed my pants at boxing because we don't know what we don't know. And we get self-conscious as we age. You can age gracefully and beautifully, and there are these incredible products out there.
And that's what I want for women. And I'm not saying that I haven't been and I don't get exactly where you're talking. There's a
There's a
today,
lot out there, right?
which oh, there's lots in there, and we have to uncover all kinds of things. And I really feel that it's a grace and that I've been given to be allowed to understand all this and to learn it. And that's what I'd like to pass on, particularly to older women, is that you don't have to stop because you're older or retired. That's just the beginning. And we can light that flame inside because so many times we do a job that we don't like particularly, but it brings in the money. And then we retire and we get to do what we want to do. And that's where, so often you begin to understand who you are.
When we stop the doing to have and to be, because once I do this so that I have this, and then I get to be this, right?
It'll,
Doing, having. Yes.
you're
And
right.
so that's I love that you're that is part of your demographic. For me, that's part of mine is those old the just in a different phase of their life that do that go, and then it's no, I get to be my authentic self earlier in life. I get to change what society says a woman of any age. And I love that again, it's that we're starting to change this not only at changing the demographic around like senior when we're talking about experienced women at whatever age, right?
That's
You can do this at any point in time, and the earlier we change that systemic piece, you get to be, right? So it doesn't your being can start at 55 or your being can start at wherever, and then when you're in connection with that, it tends to it flows.
That's right. And like you say, the earlier you start this, the better for you and the rest of your life.
Yes.
But so often, and I'm part of the demographic that grew up with certain ideas, and you didn't go out on your own, and women didn't do this, and whatever. And those are the women that I want to get hold of and say, you can do whatever you want.
Yeah. Yeah.
You're not bound by what society says.
And it's never too late. It's
That's
never
right.
too, right? Is
Yeah.
that, yeah, I think definitely there are different demographics and age brackets that had it more systemically than others. I know I am graced because my my grandmothers, my mom were incredibly empowering, and but not everybody has that blessing. And so I love that there are spaces and products and individuals out there that are like, no, we're going to embody this and we're going to make this change.
Yes. Yes. Yeah. Yeah.
I love it. So I got one more question. I know I've taken up a good amount of your time. What made you decide on the Corthas in Peterborough? I know you mentioned a cottage. You had these. It sounds like you've had these incredible lifetimes, and I'd love to get back and hear more of those stories about New York and Toronto and the transformational art school and all of those great things. But before we wrap up today, I'd love to hear why the Kawarthas, why this area after all of those wonderful things out there.
Because I was born and raised in Peterborough.
You were born and raised. Okay. So it's possible. I left for 20 years. I moved out the day after I graduated in high school, but I am born and raised here in Peterborough too. My parents are Donnellys and Sullivans from Ennismore.
Okay.
So if you're born and raised here, you probably, so you came back home.
I did, but I swore I would never come back to Peterborough. And so I went around Peterborough. So I tore down the cottage on Chemung Lake and built a house. And then that property became too big and too much of a job. And so I bought a smaller piece of property in Lakefield and did the same thing. And then that became too big a job. So then I moved into an apartment and I absolutely love it. And I'm back in Peterborough.
And you're loving it.
And there you go.
Yeah. Yeah. I definitely find it brings people back home. I do. I love hearing people's stories when they've gone out and gained all of this experience and life skills and just seen more that exists out there. But then I hear you about the being like, I'm not sure about coming back. And I always, even though I chuckle, my husband's like, we haven't lived in Peterborough for 15 years and you still call it going home? And I was like, yeah, I picked up on that tendency later on that I had always referred to it as, and my husband's like, you knew you were coming back here to this community. It is, and it very much is what did I tried to explain it to somebody. I said, it is a city with a small town feel.
Yes, yes.
And it has this community that it is, I chuckle when they talk about, there was a movie with Kevin Bacon, The 6 Degrees of Separation.
Yes.
I love to say Peterborough is the city of 2 degrees of separation. That
Absolutely. Yeah. I was talking to a friend last night from Ennismore, and we were realizing how our friends coincide, but we didn't know that.
Yeah. And again, you can have these separate pieces and not know it, but then you're like, oh, yeah.
All of a sudden,
You
you
get,
know her, do you?
oh, you went to end, you get that opportunity for growth. I know that was a piece for me too when I was growing up, was like, I wanted these different experiences and got these other areas of growth outside of those 2 degrees of separation and being able to come home and then now being my authentic self, who is
Yeah.
not the Kathleen Donnelly who left after high school, who is now the Kat McCarty who embodies magic and science and all of this holistic and but combines it with the fact-based stuff. So I love hearing that you were from here and have had all of these incredible adventures and then decided, whether it was Peterborough or not, you came back to the Kawarthas and now you love it.
Yes, yes, yeah. We'll have to talk further than on here because I'm sure that we know a lot of people in common.
I'm sure we do too. And I am excited. I'm like, oh yes, all my brain's going off on all these potential collaborations and actually I'm looking forward to getting to see you again in person at one of the women's business networking events again and around the community, but also excited to have you back here on the show so we can connect and share a little bit more about these incredible conversations.
That would be wonderful. Yeah. Thank you so much for inviting me. This has been a terrific conversation.
Thank you. See, the best conversations and connections happen when you don't plan it out. You get to explore where things are at and get to hear a little bit more about each other. So, for those of you that are listening, I'm going to include Sandy's website, her Instagram, all of those great pieces of information in the description. I'm going to try to get the scroll across the screen every so often, Sandy, and I will be putting them out for you.
Maybe also what you could do is I will send you the link for the quiz. Okay. And then they can take the quiz. I actually will know when they take it,
Okay.
and I can get in touch with them.
That would be amazing.
Yeah.
That would be absolutely amazing. So I will include all of that. I will send that out. And again, Sandy, thank you so much. And I am really looking forward to connecting again here soon.
Yes. Yes. Thanks so much, Kat. This is wonderful.
Have a great day.
You too.
So I'm here once again with Sandy, and we had paused this, and then we started to have some more really great conversation. And Sandy started to share a charity that is near and dear to her heart. And I wanted to take this opportunity to add this on. Sandy, you were saying you are a breast cancer survivor and part of the Dragon Boat community, right? And fundraising, not only here, but there's even more information. So tell me a bit more about that.
I was diagnosed in 2010, and I absolutely swore I was not telling anybody that I had breast cancer. It was going to be something I did. It was over and done with. And then a friend talked me into trying the Dragon Boat, and I loved it. And so after that, as you can see, I'm not reticent to say anything about it. Peterborough Dragon Boat Survivors of Breast team has a festival the second Saturday of June every year. And we have both survivor teams and we have community teams. And every paddler is asked to get donations. And the donations go to our local hospital for cancer care. Not necessarily breast cancer care, but we have helped to fund the radiation bunker. We've also helped to fund CT scanners and rooms for the CT scans. And this year, and in October, so our festival is the second Saturday in June, but then the donations keep coming in. So October being Breast Cancer Month, we present a check to the hospital as to what we collected. And this year we collected over $400,000.
That's amazing.
Isn't that incredible? It's the biggest event, or it's the most money we've ever been able to give them. Last year it was 300 and something. And but this year, and we were there, we don't know when we're at the meeting, where nobody's told how much. And we were all just amazed at 400,000. I think it was 400,100 something. And so it was such a worthwhile fundraiser. And it means that the people around here don't have to go to Toronto and Kingston when they get the diagnosis. They can do it right here.
They can be close to home, close to family, get the support that they need.
It's just so amazing. And so now every 4 years, they have an international festival. And actually, Peterborough did the first international festival. But that was, and I was in the process of saying, I'm not telling anybody. But I didn't even go to this wonderful festival. But it's a festival for women who have had breast cancer all over the world. And it's growing and growing. The first year was here. We went to Sarasota, Florida. We've been to Florence, Italy. We've been to New Zealand, and next August it's in France. And the International Breast Cancer Committee has to find a place that will house all of us and is big enough to have the festival. But it's just amazing to me when you look around and you know that every woman standing in that village has had breast cancer. It's it's scary. It's wonderful that we've all gotten on with it, but it's so rampant.
It is.
So it really is the silver lining of this diagnosis.
Yeah, I've got a couple of people that I know, again, that are but so I will share, I'm 46. And I know they've opened up some of the mammogram screening here in Peterborough, thanks to all of this awareness and information that's going out there, because it can hit
Oh, yeah.
at any time. And I'm very fortunate that has not been my personal circumstances. My run-in was had some cervical cancer in my youth, and it's all thanks to this great work, and that you're not alone, and that you don't have to hide it. You don't have to suffer in silence. That it's that mix that in this tragedy, there are still opportunities for empowerment and growth and support.
Oh, yeah.
And again, that continuing to give back. I think that's amazing that people had an international festival when it comes to the dragon. I did not know that. I know about the dragon boat races. I think I've been down to Dalcroy to see it. But this is incredible. So the team that's going to France next year,
Yes.
is it that's the survivor boat that's going, and you have this big village?
Huh? Yeah. So there's 24 of us that are going,
Okay.
and we're staying in a certain hotel. So we've gotten everybody into the one place, and then we'll have transportation to the festival.
All
And
right. So, as fundraising for that already started, you doing that one and the Peterborough one, or is it you'll
yes,
do both this year?
yes. So our festival, our Peterborough Festival on the second Saturday of June is specifically for the hospital. And that's where we have raised $400,000 to give to the hospital this year. Outside of that, we have 2 fashion shows a year and a golf tournament. And we used to have euchre, so we're hoping to bring that back. And all of those festivities go towards our trip to France. So help people be able to afford this and afford the flight and whatever. And it's amazing when you go, people will still say, I remember that festival in Peterborough. It was great. And it's so interesting that people know, where we are and they've been there or they've heard about it. And so we really are we're representing the city, but we're representing Canada as well. And so there's lots of other teams from Canada that would go. And I realized this after the first one that I went to, because you really do represent your country and your city. And it's incredible to be together with all of these women that have really undergone the same diagnosis, but a similar way of treating it. And we're all there together. So, any of your friends who have had breast cancer, let them know about the team. We'd love to have more people. And we are actually getting younger and younger people coming to the team. So we have just had, I think, 5 new people in the last half year maybe. And they're all in around your age.
Wow.
So Everybody is welcome. We need the muscles of the younger girls. And somebody said to me, we don't talk about breast cancer, but you know that you can. And just knowing that everybody in the boat has had the same thing, that if you wanted to ask the question, you could.
They can. Yeah.
You know, we often don't, but it's certainly open to doing that.
It's
And
removed a little bit of that stigma, right? Again, and everybody gets to be who they are, and it's their own personal journey and their own experiences. But that it's very nice that you have an accepting container that somebody can ask the
yeah,
question.
yes,
Where do I get a wig? What has anybody thought about dealing with it from this perspective? I can't imagine all of the questions that go through somebody's head while they're going through that. But just that there's containers that say, I am not alone. And somebody has been through it. They've had a different lived experience, that it's not just facts. It's not just reading it out of a book. There's that personal connection to it.
that's right. And we'd love to have new paddlers. So I really feel it was the silver lining of this diagnosis. And I would love to pass that on as well. So anybody who would like to join us, you can get in touch with me, or you can get in touch with, you can look it up, Survivors of Breast Peterborough.
And
But
Sandy, can I get you to send me those links for your events that are your fundraising that are happening, so we can include them? And for any of the women out there that want to be able to paddle or things like that, and we can add them to this content as well and make sure that we're getting them out there. In addition to just speaking with Sandy anytime in regards to this as well, but let's get those things out there for people. I'd be happy to add those things.
wonderful. I'm glad that we started to chat about, I don't even know how it came up, but
No, I think we were just talking about the next time we were going to meet. And it was like this spontaneous moment and I think this is a big piece of it. And that's why I love just having conversations and connections to get to know people, because there are women out there that need to be able to hear this. And it sounds like it's such an incredible charity event space where we can support our community, that we've got safe containers to ask all of our questions from lived in experiences, and that it is really all about that growth and that empowerment through it.
that's right. Yes.
I loved the silver lining, because it's tough to think about that sometimes, especially while you're in the thick of everything. But to hear that there is, and that there's the community that gets you.
There is life after breast cancer, and there's a great community to join.
And
Yeah.
probably one, even while you're going through it, if you need the support.
Oh, yes, absolutely.
Yeah. Yeah. Thank you again so much. I'm going to add this one on to the show. And I look forward to our next conversations that come up, Sandy.
That's great. Thank you.
Thank you.